Good evening, and welcome to Convoy Conspiracies. Today we'll be continuing our journey through South America. So, go ahead and get started here. Previously, been discussing role of education in American society and how this has changed the nature of our society. I've talked a little bit about evolution. Okay, all right, fun. But there are other aspects of modern science that need to be addressed. You see, with the advent of things like evolution and things that challenge basically the idea that or the possibility of the existence of a God or a creator of our world, science, quite obviously, or at least certain scientists have used the trappings of science, have used the so-called spirit of science to discredit religious belief, while not actually using the scientific method, but simply extending the philosophy, a certain types of philosophical viewpoint that place science on a higher pedestal than someone who was religious might be inclined to do. That is scientism. Scientism is simply a religious belief based on some fuzzy concept of what science is, what it says, okay, about the universe, about creation, about our reality. And why is this important? Because we, as human beings, as the preeminent creature in our world, are concerned very heavily with how our world was created. Other animals, they don't care how Earth came to be. They don't care, who their first ancestors were. They just don't even think about it. It's not an issue to them, but it is an issue to us, which should be the first hint that there's something more to us than mere simian advancement over time. And adjust my wheel here. There we go. We're more than just, let's say, monkeys are relatives of monkeys. Monkeys don't think the way we think. Monkeys don't have the same issues with boundaries, with ultimate beginnings, ultimate ends, ultimate limits. They simply don't. They don't have these concepts. These concepts are not important to them. But yet they are important to us, which is an indication that we have some elements of God within us, that we might indeed be children of God. If we are so concerned with these questions about meaning, the meaning of life, and what its purpose is, that in itself is evidence that we descend from something greater than what is immediately apparent before us. that there's more to reality than mere materialism, which materialism as a school of thought has suffered dramatically in the past few decades as more and more evidence piles on that what we see and what we perceive are simply not adequate to explain the true complexity of the fabric of reality. Those old antiquated notions are becoming very inadequate to explain the observed phenomenon and other issues. Okay, wow. Oh, somebody pulled over up here. Huh. That's smart, standing behind a concrete barrier. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Don't move your head. Don't move your head. Huh. Blank road signs. They got some work to do out here still. But I think we're out on the edges of the EAA map, so that would explain that. Oh, that works. Oh. All right, let me switch back to wrong button. Very scary stuff. Okay. So, science has, despite the best intentions of its practitioners, its early practitioners, become a replacement religion. And not the science that can be observed, not, let's say, the science that, involves electricity, even though there's more to that, I'm sure, than what we're currently aware of. We can observe lights switching on and off, charge passing through wire, copper wire, and those types of things. And we can build things around it. It's practical science, it's useful science, it's empirical science. It is inductive science, not imaginative science. And there is a distinction between the two. Imaginative science, such as, let's say, Einstein's theory of relativity. What is built and what has been constructed and what has affected our daily lives that is based primarily upon the theory of relativity? I would contend not a thing. Almost nothing. It is a junk science. And when I say junk science, I mean something that's literally junk. It could be thrown away and would have no effect on our day-to-day lives, besides our philosophy, our philosophical viewpoints, which, don't mistake me, those are powerful forces in the world. But that is all it serves. It is a mental exercise, the theory of relativity. It is not something that is backed up with hard empirical evidence. Yes, I know there was a picture of a black hole that came out recently, but this is a case in point. Are you sure that's an image of a black hole? How can you be sure? Well, they say the swirling and the lights and whatnot reflect our current theories. Well, did you see any other holes that didn't reflect your current theories? And you just chose this one because it happened to? And how would we really know that it reflects the current theories perfectly, that there is no other possibility? There's a billion other possibilities as to what this hole, this ring of light in the sky, actually is. Until we have proximity to it, until we can observe it in far more detail than some fuzzy photograph, We don't know what it is. I mean, we've played this game before. There's photographs of things taken up close, which when you zoom out from them, they are not at all what they appear to be. This is a common optical illusion. And so to say that something quadrillions of miles away from us has this and that characteristic because of this fuzzy photograph, pixelated mess, jumble of pixels, that is a black hole that meets all of the Einsteinian criteria for such a phenomenon is ludicrous. Okay? It just is. I mean, it allows them to continue the charade, of course, and that's the purpose of such press events pertaining to the discovery of so-called planets, which is nothing more than the flickering of lights in the sky. and these black holes. We'll never travel to these black holes. They're so far away, so separated from us in time and theoretical space that they'll never actually have to defend these theories they've put forward during their lifetime. No one's going to travel to this location and confirm what they've said. There is no objective way to confirm what they are saying about this ring of light in the sky. And that's the problem with this type of so-called science. It's not science. When you attach faith statements to these things, when you leave the realm of speculation about what it could be and start saying what it is without having enough information, you are engaged in religious activity. And the thing is this: humanity needs religion. Are there really any naturally occurring societies where religion has not played a role? Even in atheist societies, God has been replaced with a God king type leader who people worship. You see this in almost every case. Mao Zedong, Lenin, Stalin. People need something to believe in. Check the, okay. They just do. That's just the nature of how humanity works. Life without faith in something greater than ourselves tends to be very unfulfilling. And humanity as a whole has rejected that over time. So, the tenets of the modern faith of scientism are belief in random creation, a belief in the creative force of the maelstrom, which is ridiculous, but that is what is believed in. Okay, somebody coming up on my right here. You're just gonna have to wait. No. You're not gonna pass me. You're not passing me. Okay, the tenets of the faith of scientism. The creative force of the maelstrom, the infallibility of consensus, which doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. I mean, right, for instance, climate change, global warming, whatever you want to call it. It's not based on global observations. It's based on manipulated data sets from weather stations whose ambient environments have changed over the decades that they've been used to study the so-called global temperature. Um, and, this has been detailed in statistical analysis by websites like What's Up With That, where they've done studies and shown that there is a manipulation of the data. Whoa, a fuel tanker on fire. That is disturbing. So it's not really possible to talk about global warming or global temperature changes at all unless you can measure the temperature of the globe as a whole, as a composite, not using selected points that are subject to data corruption based on their locations, urban heating effect, and so forth. You have to study the globe for a long time, using something like a satellite in geostationary orbit, which could monitor the globe's temperature as a composite. Once you had decades of this data, then you could start to make statements about the linkage between CO2 and global temperature. But right now, you don't have a baseline on global temperatures. Trying to use tree rings to extrapolate this type of conclusions that have been reached by, let's say, the UN IPCC, the panel on climate change, is prone to immense error and very easily subject to manipulation. But you will see within the realm of scientism many aspects that cannot be tested, that cannot be confirmed via the scientific method, but yet are put forward as absolute fact. Even though it seems scientists are willing to change those facts at will, they'll introduce things like dark matter and dark energy to suit their needs, to make their models continue to work. But dark matter and dark energy, like black holes, simply do not exist. Okay? Now, what is out there and what the possibilities truly are, it's hard to say. But true science always acts from the position of relegating itself to observer, not dictator of reality. A scientist does not dictate reality. A scientist observes phenomenon within our world and attempts to understand it. Period. You cannot use something like mathematics, which is a tool of logic as it is understood by human beings, to dictate the nature of the entire universe. But children raised in this system don't have much to put hope in, don't have much to put faith in, other than scientists and governments. They can't look to God. They've been told that God doesn't matter, God doesn't exist, and so forth. I'm thinking, okay, we've got some gas stations up ahead here, so just wanted to make sure. We're in Uruguiana. Is that Uruguay? Are we currently in Uruguay? Maybe. Paso de los Libres is the highway we're traveling on. Okay, so let's keep heading towards this. Looks like we'll be able to get to the next gas station here. Let me get over in this lane. These guys are all stacked up in a nice line. Whoa, I just started from 7th gear. Wow, lots of, well, there's a garage. I've been through here before. Get over in this lane. We just beat that light. Okay, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Ah. Speed it up, buddy. What time is it? 9:30 at night. Uruguiana. Here's the port. Oh, a cop, and the speed limit changed to 40. Nice little speed trap there. They didn't get me that time. Thank goodness. So yes, what I'm basically saying is that children raised under the statist, scientism, godless system have nothing to hope for, nothing to believe in besides the cognitive dissonance offered to them by gender fluid scientism, with all of its claims about the nature and the beginnings of life in the universe that are completely and totally unverifiable. I've talked to some of these kids about, let's say, the Big Bang, and they'll say, well, you can just look and see that the stars are moving apart, and that means the Big Bang happened. And I try to explain to them that, no, you observe the stars, and they supposedly are moving apart, but there are literally infinite possible reasons as to why that phenomenon is occurring. You cannot sit there and just say that the Big Bang is the only possible reason as to why that phenomenon is occurring. To say otherwise is to not understand science, is to not understand the scientific method. See, we are losing the scientific method to this. We are losing the ability to actually do any type of real research. We're losing it to propaganda. Okay? Humanity is under assault from this type of viewpoint. And we're building upon a house of cards. Okay? We're being told all of these things about the universe, and none of it is based on actual observation. And so when any one thing ever comes to light that is truly observable and that is truly able to be tested and confirmed, that will come under great assault if it doesn't meet this particular viewpoint about the nature of our universe. It's not going to be allowed to stand. And the condemnation and I'm just checking to see if how close the next gas station is, and I don't think we should push it here. I think we're going to stop. The condemnation, persecution, ridicule, and attempts at silencing that will occur in that scenario will be far more intense and suffocating than anything Galileo might have experienced at the hands of the Catholic Church. Oh, I got somebody ticked off back here. Hey, buddy. I'm trying to fill up here. Okay. Hey. All right. Well, let's pull forward. And that's where we're at now. Any type of research that doesn't fit the mold is attacked. And where is that going to end up? It's not going to end up anywhere good or productive or, in some type of way advancing human society. Okay, so we're going to stop the engine here, hit the parking brake, get out and stretch our legs. All right, so yeah, that's where we're heading towards another Dark Ages. A Dark Ages grander in scope and scale than anything that was experienced during medieval times. And one not inhibited by any kind of morality. Okay? The people who run this system are truly amoral. They have no sense of accountability for their actions. They follow the tenets of Nietzsche, that nothing that we do matters, and that therefore all they should focus on is the elites in this current system. All that they focus on is their own pleasure, their own gain. So we are truly at a crossroads in human history where the technology that we are being presented with, and that is being advanced now, is all about systems of control, controlling information, pushing information out, but at the same time attempting to control and manipulate it. And there's been no real advancements beyond that. I mean, maybe medical, but life expectancy has not shot up dramatically. In fact, I would say life expectancy is starting to decrease a bit in the United States. So, anyway, we will catch some Z's here and call this session quits. All right, it's 10:30 p.m., so we're resting until 7:30 in the morning. As far as the trucking business goes, looks like we're down to 135,000 euros. I need to at some point get my truck serviced as well. I'm sure that's going to cost a pretty penny. Let's take a look. We've passed through Uruguiana. We're approaching Alegrete. And I'm not sure where exactly that is, what country it's in. I'm assuming we're still in Argentina. Haven't seen any border crossings. I pull up the garage here. And pull up my driver, Martin, my one and only. He's resting currently. He's still averaging over negative 1,000 euros a day. Okay, so change his focus from long distance to high value cargo. And and just there's not much else we can do at this point. Take a look at where we are on the trip. Okay, so we moved all the way from, I think we started out around Rosario, or Santa Fe actually. Went all the way up here to Uruguiana. So in the next trip we should be able to get to the port and get over into Europe for that leg of the journey, which going to be pretty long. Be traveling through Luxembourg and into Italy. So we can look forward to that, and I will talk to you later. This is Convoy Conspiracies signing off.